Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My name is Eleanor. I'm 72 years old. And today, I just got shoved down a flight of stairs by my own flesh and blood. You think you're gonna change your will now? At the last minute, she screamed, spit flying from her lips, eyes wild. She was standing at the top of the basement steps, her arms shaking from rage. Her name is Madison, my granddaughter. 26, entitled, always used to getting her way. I raised her since she was 8. When her mother, my daughter, overdosed, I gave her everything. But now, as I lay crumpled at the bottom of the cold concrete steps, my back burning with pain, all I could think was, she has no idea who she's messing with. I coughed and tried to sit up, but my hip screamed. Madison, you're making a mistake. You made the mistake, Grandma, she snapped, her voice clipped, sharp like broken glass. You were going to give everything to that church. That stupid scholarship fund. My inheritance. The house. The money. After everything I've done for you? Done for me? This girl hadn't lifted a finger since moving back in. All she did was throw parties, spend my pension on designer bags, and talk about manifesting her dream life while I cooked and cleaned behind her. Madison, I said through gritted teeth, dragging myself upright using the metal shelf, I changed my will because I finally saw the truth. You don't care about anyone but yourself. Oh please, she scoffed, stepping down one stair now, towering over me. You think you're so noble, giving money away to strangers. But where were you when I needed you, huh? When I dropped out of college, when I couldn't make rent in LA? You just said, come home, sweetie. You didn't help me. You trapped me here. Trapped? No. I saved her. But of course, she couldn't see it. Not yet. Madison took another step down. I could smell the expensive perfume on her wrists as she crossed her arms. You know what? You're gonna stay down here. Just until I figure out what to do. You're old, you probably won't last that long anyway. I blinked, stunned. You're going to lock me down here? Not forever, she said with a cold smirk. Just long enough to call the lawyer and say you had a fall. You've been confused lately, haven't you? You might have imagined you changed the will. We'll say you forgot. You're senile. Happens all the time. She turned, heading back up the stairs. Madison, listen to me, if you do this, there's no going back. She paused. Looked over her shoulder. Her eyes gleamed. Good. Because I don't want to go back. And then, slam. Darkness. The lock clicked into place. I was alone. Basement air is heavy. Dusty. The smell of old cardboard and rust crawled into my lungs. But I didn't panic. I didn't scream. Because the truth is, I had been waiting for this. I knew Madison was after my estate. And what she didn't know was that I wasn't just some sweet old lady with tea and knitting and a garden club. I had secrets. I had evidence. And I had a plan. It had started 6 months earlier. Little things. Jewelry disappearing. Bank transactions I didn't recognize. Friends telling me Madison was seen downtown, not at her yoga retreat but at a club, drunk, grinding on some shady guy twice her age. I didn't want to believe it at first. I blamed myself. Maybe I didn't give her enough love. Maybe losing her mother twisted something in her. But the truth was simpler. She thought kindness meant weakness. She thought being old meant being blind. She had no idea I had been documenting everything. Every stolen item. Every login attempt to my accounts. Every threatening voicemail she'd left when I started saying no to her demands. She also didn't know about the camera in the attic. Or the fact that I'd met with a private investigator just last week. She didn't know that I was already one step ahead. Down in the basement, I pulled myself to the old workbench and opened a hidden drawer I'd built into the back years ago when I used to refinish furniture for cash. Inside, still wrapped in a stained cloth, was the burner phone I kept charged for emergencies. I turned it on. 2 bars of signal. That's all I needed. I sent a message. Basement. She locked me in. Start the plan. Use the tapes. Then I sat back and closed my eyes. She thought this was the end. She thought locking me away would silence me. But what Madison didn't realize is that I had already exposed her lies to someone far more dangerous than a grandmother with a bruised hip. Her past was already catching up to her. The call she made to that man in Vegas? I knew who he was. The drugs she borrowed from the neighbor's medicine cabinet? I had photos. The trust fund she forged my signature to access? Already reported. So let her have her tantrum. Let her play villain in her movie. Because the third act was coming. And this time, Grandma was writing the ending. The worst part wasn't the pain. It was the silence. After Madison slammed the door and clicked that lock shut, I waited to hear footsteps. Shuffling. Maybe even a guilty pause. But nothing. Just footsteps marching away like I was already a memory. Like I didn't matter. She really believed I'd disappear quietly. But she forgot, I didn't raise her to be a coward. I raised her to survive. And unfortunately for her, I survived too. I sat there in the dark, rubbing my hip, my jaw clenched against the pain. The cold from the concrete floor seeped through my sweater, but my mind was on fire. I wasn't always like this, you know, calculating, prepared, ready for betrayal. But when you've lived long enough, you learn. My husband left me with a baby and $42 in the bank. My daughter died choking on her own lies. And Madison? She was supposed to be the redemption story. I poured everything into her. Dance lessons. Tutors. Homemade dinners. Even when she screamed that I was too controlling, I never raised my voice. I never hit back. I loved her with every cell in my body, even when she broke my heart piece by piece. And that's what made this different. Because now I wasn't just protecting myself. I was protecting the little girl I raised, from the monster she'd become. About 45 minutes passed. Long enough for the shock to settle, long enough for the pain to start numbing into something manageable. I turned the burner phone over in my hands again. No reply yet. But I wasn't worried. I knew who was coming. And I knew exactly what would happen when they arrived. See, last week, I'd made a choice. I told myself, if Madison ever lays a finger on me, if she even tries to cross the line I drew, I won't protect her anymore. Because up until now, I always covered for her. I told the church she was just going through something. I paid the neighbor back for the watch she stole. I even lied to the bank when she maxed out a card I never gave her permission to use. But when she pushed me down the stairs? When I heard that basement door click? That was my line. And she crossed it. Upstairs, I heard muffled voices. Music. A blender maybe. She was making a smoothie, probably using my organic berries like always. Pretending like nothing happened. The thing about people like Madison? They actually believe they can get away with anything. They lie so often, they start thinking it's the truth. But reality always arrives. Sometimes softly. Sometimes like a freight train. The sound I was waiting for came 90 minutes later. The doorbell. Once. Twice. 3 quick chimes. She didn't answer it at first. She probably thought it was just a package. Then, I heard the door open. And his voice. Madison. Hey. I need to talk to your grandmother. It was Zeke. A family friend. But more importantly, a retired detective. My late husband's oldest friend. He used to bounce Madison on his knee when she was a baby. He was also the one who helped me put all the evidence together, security footage, account logs, bank statements. All tied up in a neat little file. "Grandma's not feeling well," she said, her voice fake sweet. "She's upstairs sleeping." Zeke didn't buy it. "I just need 5 minutes." "Not a good time," she said, sharper now. "She needs rest." "Madison," Zeke said quietly, and I imagined his eyes narrowing. "Move." I heard a shuffle, a thud, and then silence. Then the door creaked open. And footsteps. Coming down the basement stairs. I looked up just as the beam of his flashlight landed on my face. "Jesus," he whispered. "Eleanor." "I'm fine," I said, wiping the dirt from my sweater. "But she's not." 10 minutes later, I was upstairs, sitting on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket. Zeke made me tea. Madison was pacing near the kitchen, arms crossed, mascara streaked down one cheek. "I didn't do anything," she snapped. "She fell. She's old. That's not a crime." "You locked her in the basement," Zeke said calmly. "That is. You have no idea what she's been doing. She's trying to steal from me. Change the will. She's crazy." "Am I?" I said, setting my tea down slowly. I reached into the drawer of the side table, the same drawer she'd rifled through last week looking for blank checks, and pulled out a flash drive. I handed it to Zeke. "That's everything," I said. "Go ahead. Show her." Madison froze. "Show me what?" Zeke plugged it into his tablet. The screen lit up. There she was. Caught on camera, stealing prescription meds from my neighbor's purse. Forging my signature at the credit union. Even bragging on video, drunk and laughing, "My grandma's gonna die soon anyway, might as well enjoy the money now." She turned pale. "Delete it," she whispered. "No," I said, rising to my feet, my body still trembling but my voice steady. "You don't get to erase what you did. Not anymore. You can't do this to me." "You did this to yourself," I said, staring her down. Her lip curled. "You were never a real mother to me." I blinked. That one landed. But I didn't flinch. I stepped closer and looked her in the eye. "No," I said softly. "I was more than a mother. I was a shield. A fool. And a fool's time eventually runs out." Madison sank to the floor, sobbing now. The rage had drained from her. All that was left was the little girl I once knew, scared, cornered, unraveling. "I didn't mean to push you," she said. I was scared. You were leaving me with nothing." "You still had me," I whispered. "But now you've got less than nothing." Zeke took her outside. Said he had to file a report. "I don't know what will happen next, jail, maybe. Rehab. Court. Honestly, that's not up to me anymore." I sat alone in the living room after they left. For once, the house was quiet. Not empty. Not sad. Just honest. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, that was enough. I thought that would be the end of it. That after Zeke drove Madison away and the police were informed, I could finally exhale. But life never wraps itself up that neatly. Especially not when you're carrying a secret so heavy, it bends your spine more than age ever could. You see, Madison thought she had all the cards. She thought locking me in that basement would shut me up. But the truth? That was never locked up. It was waiting. Waiting for me to have the courage to speak it aloud. And when I did, it would burn everything she thought she knew about herself. The knock came 2 days later. Not from the police. Not from Zeke. But from her. She stood on my porch in ripped jeans and a wrinkled t-shirt, looking like a teenager again, defiant, proud, and terrified all at once. Her arms were crossed, lips tight, but I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't there to fight. She was there because something inside her had cracked. And that crack, that sliver of open space, was the first time in years I felt hope. I didn't say anything. I just opened the door wider. She stepped in. "I didn't tell them everything," she muttered. I nodded slowly, offering her the seat by the window. The one she used to sit in when she read picture books and believed in fairy tales. "I know." We sat there in silence. The kind that holds 100 memories in it. Then she broke it. "Why do you hate me?" I looked at her, this grown woman I'd swaddled in blankets as a baby, whose scraped knees I kissed, whose broken heart I'd tried to patch together over and over again, and my throat tightened. "I never hated you," I said, voice trembling. "But I do hate what you became." She flinched. "But now," I continued, "I think it's time you learned something. Something I've never told you. Something I should have, years ago." She looked at me, confused. Suspicious. But not ready to run. "Good." I stood slowly, walked to the fireplace, and reached up onto the mantel. Behind the old photograph of my daughter, Madison's mother, was a manila envelope. Thick. Sealed. I handed it to her. She took it without a word, flipped open the clasp, and pulled out the first document. A birth certificate. But not hers. It said baby girl Thompson, adopted. She blinked. Then looked at me. "What is this?" "Keep going," I whispered. There were photos next, hospital records, a letter with shaky handwriting, and finally, a DNA test. One she never knew I had taken. One that showed something shocking. She wasn't my biological granddaughter. Her eyes widened. This isn't possible." "I found you," I said, voice breaking. "In a parking lot. You were less than a week old. Your birth mother had left you behind a gas station dumpster, wrapped in a torn hoodie, barely breathing." She dropped the papers like they burned her. "No. That's not true." "It is," I said quietly. "And I wasn't supposed to keep you. I called the police. Social services. But something inside me, maybe it was God, maybe it was guilt from my own daughter spiraling, told me you belonged here. So when the system couldn't find your mother, I applied for emergency guardianship." She shook her head, almost violently. "No. My mom, she told me I look like her." "That was convenient," I said, almost bitterly. "She let you believe it. Because it made her feel better. Like she didn't screw everything up. But she wasn't your mother. She was my daughter. And she was an addict. A liar. And eventually, she couldn't keep up with the charade. That's why she left." Madison's mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked down at the evidence again. Hands trembling. Then she whispered. "Why didn't you tell me?" My heart ached. "Because I didn't want you to feel like a mistake. Because I thought love would be enough. That if I just loved you hard enough, the truth wouldn't matter." I leaned in. "But you deserve the truth now. Because you've spent the last 5 years treating me like your enemy, when I was the only one who ever chose you." She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her hoodie. "I don't even know who I am." I reached across and gently took her hand. "You're someone who was thrown away, and still survived. That makes you stronger than any bloodline. But it's time to decide who you want to be now. Not the girl who steals and lies and locks people away, but the woman who breaks the cycle." For once, she didn't argue. She just cried. And I let her. Because in that moment, I didn't see a criminal. I didn't see a brat or a threat. I saw a child who finally understood what love had cost someone else. And I prayed, maybe now she'd be ready to earn it back. It's funny. The moment truth leaves your lips, the moment you finally unbury the thing that's been clawing at your soul, it doesn't just change the room you're in. It echoes. It travels through phone lines, whispers down hallways, rides inside text messages and TikTok clips, until suddenly the whole world hears it. I didn't post anything. But someone did. Zeke, maybe. Or the officer who found me bruised in that basement. Or maybe the story was just too good to stay quiet. Elderly woman locked in her own home by her entitled granddaughter, and then drops a 20-year-old secret that flips the family tree upside down? Yeah, it had all the ingredients. By that Friday, I had 3 reporters at my porch, and Madison's name was on every blog post with the headline. Granddaughter locks up elderly woman, then learns who she really is. She didn't answer any of their calls. Didn't post. Didn't show her face. Until she did. And when she did, oh, Lord, it was a disaster. I was sipping lukewarm tea at the kitchen table when I saw it. A live stream. Madison, in her bedroom, sitting against a wall, wearing mascara that had already run halfway down her cheeks. She looked small. Beaten down. But still angry. I just want to say something, she began, voice shaky. To all the people who think they know everything about me from one post, you don't. My stomach turned. She wasn't ready. She still didn't get it. I grew up thinking I was someone. That I belonged. And now this woman, who I thought was my grandmother, drops this whole story like it's some big heroic moment. But you know what? It's not. She sniffed hard, then added. She lied to me. My whole life. And yeah, I messed up. I admit that. But maybe if I knew the truth, I wouldn't have. And then she did what hurt me more than the basement. She blamed me. I don't care what the DNA says. If you can lie for 2 decades and then throw me to the wolves just to look like a martyr, then maybe you were never really family. The comment section lit up like wildfire. Half the people called her out. The rest? Ate it up. That's when I realized, the truth isn't just about facts. It's about who people want to believe. And when you've lived your whole life behind filters and edits, when you've built your identity on sympathy and curated trauma, truth feels like an attack. So I did something I swore I wouldn't. I answered back. I didn't go live. I wrote a letter. An open one. And I read it aloud. Zeke helped me post the video. Simple background. No music. Just me, an old woman in a cardigan, with shaking hands and more wrinkles than most people want to see on their screen. But I didn't care. Madison, I began, if you're watching this, I want you to know. I don't hate you. Not even now. Not even after all this. I paused. I raised you. I taught you how to read, how to braid your hair, how to bake your first birthday cake. I was there when the school called about your first fight. I held you when your first love broke your heart. My voice cracked. I did all of that, not because I had to. But because I chose to. Every day. I chose you. I looked into the camera and said what she never seemed able to hear. You weren't a charity case. You were a miracle. You still are. Then I looked down at the envelope I'd held in my lap. This was your mother's handwriting, I said, unfolding the letter I'd kept hidden for 20 years. She wrote it before she overdosed. She wanted you to have it when you turned 18. But I couldn't give it to you then, you weren't ready. I cleared my throat. She wrote, please tell her I didn't mean to leave her. I just couldn't be the mother she deserved. Tell her I loved her the moment I saw her, but I knew I would destroy her if I stayed. I stared back into the camera. I didn't want you to grow up believing you were abandoned. I wanted you to believe you were chosen. My eyes filled. I see now, maybe I chose wrong. Maybe I should have given you the truth, even if it hurt. But it was never meant to shame you, Madison. It was meant to free you. The video ended. Simple. Raw. But it traveled. By nightfall, it had 1 million views. And the comments? They weren't just about me. They were about her. She doesn't deserve a grandma like you. Wow, imagine blaming the woman who saved your life. This broke me. The line, I chose you. I sobbed. Hashtag Team Grandma forever. Madison didn't go live again. She didn't respond. But 2 days later, she showed up at my door. No makeup. No camera. Just a trembling hand and red-rimmed eyes. I watched it, she whispered. I nodded. She reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out something. The locket. The one I'd given her when she was 9. She used to wear it every day, until she turned 16 and said she didn't need sentimental junk anymore. She placed it on the table between us. Then she said something I never thought I'd hear. I don't know if I deserve to be your granddaughter. But I want to learn how. And just like that, I forgave her. Not because she earned it. But because love isn't something you wait to deserve. It's something you give anyway. Especially when it's the hardest thing to give. Madison didn't move back in right away. And truth be told, I didn't ask her to. Some wounds don't close with apologies. They close with time and consistency. And I'd learned the hard way, words are cheap. What matters is what people do after the dust settles. To her credit, she came by every week. Not with flowers. Not with guilt. With groceries. With her sleeves rolled up. With a willingness to listen even when the silence between us said more than either of us could. The fame faded. The hashtags cooled off. And somewhere between week 6 and 7, I saw something that felt impossible just a month earlier. Madison started becoming someone new. She picked up a job. A real one. No more online drama, no chasing influencer likes or pity donations. She started volunteering with a group that helps displaced foster youth, something I never suggested, but clearly something she'd needed. I watched her sort clothes for girls who reminded her of herself. I watched her kneel down to tie the shoe of a boy who flinched like he'd been hit too many times in his short life. And that's when I knew. She wasn't just sorry. She was changing. Then came the letter. Not hers, mine. My lawyer handed it to me across his desk. An update to my will. Something I hadn't touched in years. Are you sure you want to do this? He asked. I smiled. I'm not rewarding her, I said softly. I'm giving her a chance to carry forward what was given to her. The ink dried. The plan was sealed. Madison would never see it coming. It was a Saturday when I invited her to dinner. Just us. Old table. Baked chicken. Candlelight flickering against the walls she once tried to have painted white and aesthetic. I've got something for you, I said after dessert. Her eyes widened. Grandma, you don't have to. It's not a gift, I interrupted. It's a decision. One I've made after seeing who you're becoming. I slid the envelope across the table. Not thick. Not dramatic. Just one page. She opened it slowly. Read the first line. Then froze. Her jaw slackened. Is this real? I nodded. I'm signing the house over to you. She blinked fast, lips parting. No. No, Grandma, I can't. You can, I said firmly. But only under one condition. She swallowed hard. You keep that shelter job. You keep walking the walk. You keep giving kids the kind of second chance I gave you, without ever locking up your past to pretend it didn't happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. I will, she said. I swear. And one more thing. She looked up. This house isn't yours to keep. Not forever. When you're ready, you pass it on. To someone like you. Someone who needs it more than you do. Her shoulders trembled. She reached out, took my hand, and whispered. I won't fail you again. I believed her. It's been 3 years now. She's still in that house. Still working at the shelter. Still taking night classes. Still showing up, not perfectly, but consistently. And me? I moved into a small cottage 2 towns over. Quiet. Peaceful. But I visit. Not to check on her. To see her. The woman she's become. The one her mother, wherever she is, would be proud of. And every time I walk up that front porch and see the nameplate she added under the mailbox, I feel something shift inside me. It doesn't say Madison Rose, influencer anymore. It says Madison Rose, House of Second Chances. And that's the truth. You can lock a person in a basement. You can bury a secret for years. You can even try to erase your past with lies, followers, and filters. But eventually, truth finds its way to the surface. And when it does, it's not to punish. It's to free you. You just have to be brave enough to face it.